The promise. The stars were bright that night above the alien colony. The human soldier walked slowly across the dusty ground, his heavy boots leaving marks behind him. He had been sent with a small group of explorers to make contact with this strange race, but he never expected the mission to feel so different. The air was cooler here, and the sky had two moons that gave a pale silver glow. It was not Earth. It never felt like home. The aliens were not what the humans had feared. They were smaller, slimmer, and more delicate in their movements. They were peaceful, living in stone houses with glowing lamps, and they watched the visitors with wide eyes filled with curiosity. Children followed the soldiers around the village, giggling and whispering in a language that was strange but gentle. Among them was one little girl who never left his side. She was small, with pale lavender skin that shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Her hair was white like snow, and her eyes were brighter than any star he had seen. She clung to his hand, looking up at him with complete trust as if he were some kind of hero. The soldier smiled at her, though he did not know why she chose him and not the others. Maybe it was because he bent down and spoke softly to her, while the rest of the soldiers kept their distance. For days, she followed him everywhere. She tried to copy his steps, she laughed when he pretended to stumble, and she asked endless questions in broken words. The elders of the alien tribe simply nodded and allowed her to stay close. They seemed amused by the bond forming between human and alien child. One evening, as they sat near the fire, the little girl pulled at his sleeve. She looked up with wide eyes and asked in her halting words, "When I grow big, you marry me?" The soldier almost choked on his drink. The other humans laughed, and even the alien elders smiled knowingly. He waved his hand, pretending not to take her seriously. "Of course," he said with a chuckle. "When you grow up, I will marry you." His voice was light, meant only as a joke, but the little alien girl did not laugh. She nodded, her face serious, her bright eyes shining with a strange light. She repeated softly, "Promise?" The soldier, still smiling, patted her head. "Yes, promise." The moment passed quickly for him. To him it was only a careless joke, a way to make her smile. But to the little alien girl it was a vow carved into her heart. She believed him. She carried his words like a treasure. Time moved on. The humans left the colony after their mission was done. The soldier looked back once, seeing the little girl waving with both hands, her eyes filled with trust. He never thought of her again. Years rolled forward like waves in a storm. The galaxy changed. Wars erupted between factions. The soldier became older, stronger, hardened by battles and the endless noise of war. He forgot many things. He forgot the quiet village, the glowing lamps, the sound of laughter under two moons. He forgot the little girl with lavender skin, but she never forgot him. The story of that promise was whispered among her people. The elders remembered. They told her again and again that humans make strange vows that he might never return. But she held on to his words. She waited, she grew, and as she grew, her power awakened. She was no ordinary child. She was destined for something greater, something even her people feared. One night, many years later, when the soldier was resting in a human military base far from the old colony, a message arrived. It was short, almost cryptic, but it froze the blood in his veins. She is coming back. At first, he did not understand. Who? What did it mean? But deep inside, a memory stirred. A memory of silver moons, of laughter, of small hands holding his. A memory of a voice asking him, "Promise?" The soldier sat still, his heart heavy. He had promised, but it was never meant to be real. It was a joke. It was something he had said without thought. Yet now the message told him that the past was not forgotten. Someone remembered. Someone was coming. And in that moment he felt a strange fear, not of war or death, but of the weight of his own words. He had no idea what she had become. He had no idea what awaited him when she finally returned. The moons he once saw in her eyes were no longer a memory. They were coming back to him, and with them, something unimaginable. The return. The human soldier stood at the edge of the landing platform. The air was filled with dust and the smell of fuel as a ship descended slowly from the sky. Its engines roared like thunder, shaking the metal floor beneath his boots. Around him other soldiers whispered, pointing at the strange vessel. It was not a human ship. Its shape was smooth, curved, almost alive, glowing faintly with soft blue lines that pulsed like veins. He tightened his grip on the rifle slung across his chest. His heart beat faster, though he could not explain why. Maybe it was the message that still haunted him. She is coming back. The ship touched down, releasing a wave of hot air. The engines powered off, leaving a silence heavier than the roar. The metal ramp lowered with a hiss of steam, and all eyes turned toward the opening. The soldier's throat went dry. He did not know what he expected. Then she appeared. The figure that stepped down was tall, graceful, and glowing faintly under the harsh lights of the base. Her skin was pale lavender, smooth and shining like moonlight. Her long silver-white hair flowed like water over her shoulders. Her eyes, bright and deep, fixed directly on him as if she had traveled across the stars only for this moment. The soldiers around him gasped. Some raised their weapons slightly, uncertain. Others simply stared, their voices low with disbelief. "Is that an alien?" one whispered. Another muttered, "She looks human." But not. The soldier felt his chest tighten. He remembered her, not as she was now, but as a small child clinging to his hand, laughing under twin moons. The memory hit him so strongly that his hands trembled. But this was not the child he remembered. She had grown, transformed into something extraordinary. She walked slowly, every step confident, her eyes never leaving his. The crowd seemed to vanish around him. He heard nothing but the sound of her footsteps on the metal ramp. When she finally stood before him, her lips curved into a faint smile. "You kept me waiting," she said. Her voice was soft, yet it carried through the silence like a bell. He opened his mouth, but no words came. His soldiers looked at him with confusion, waiting for his response. But he could only stare at her, caught between disbelief and fear. "You remember me," she continued. It was not a question. Her eyes shone with certainty. "You promised." The words struck him like a blade. He remembered the firelight, the laughter, the small voice asking him to marry her when she grew up. He remembered his careless joke, his easy smile, his pat on her head. He had said it without meaning. But she had carried those words across time and stars. He shook his head slowly. "That was a long time ago," he whispered. "To me," she said, stepping closer, "it was yesterday. Every day since, I remembered. I grew stronger. I learned, and now, I have come for you." The soldiers raised their weapons, uneasy at her presence. She glanced at them once, and suddenly their rifles sparked and powered down. The lights on their weapons flickered and died as if their machines were nothing but toys before her. Gasps and curses filled the platform. The soldiers' fear grew. She was not just a woman returning for an old promise. She was something greater, something powerful, something his people could not control. "What are you?" he asked, his voice low. She tilted her head, her smile fading into a serious expression. "What I was always meant to be, and what you promised to stand beside." He stepped back, but her hand lifted gently, not in threat but in quiet strength. "Do not run from me," she said. "I did not come to harm you. I came because you are mine." The words sent chills down his spine. The men around him muttered nervously. His commander barked orders to restrain her, but the soldiers hesitated. None dared to move closer. They all felt the weight of her presence. The soldier swallowed hard. "This is madness," he said. "I cannot. I never meant." Her eyes flashed with something ancient, something vast. She leaned closer and whispered, "You think words mean nothing, but in my world a promise binds the heart and the soul, and you gave me both." Before he could reply, alarms echoed across the base. Red lights flashed and the sound of sirens filled the air. A voice shouted through the intercom, "Unidentified ships approaching, large fleet detected." Soldiers rushed into position, their fear shifting toward the sky. The soldier turned his head toward the radar screen. Dozens of ships were descending fast. He looked back at her, panic in his eyes. But she only smiled faintly. "I told you," she said. "I came for you, and I am not alone." The sky above them burned with lights as the alien fleet entered orbit. Her power, the base, trembled as the alien fleet filled the skies above. Human soldiers scrambled to their stations, shouting orders, running across the metal corridors. Sirens blared and red lights pulsed across the landing platform. The soldier stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, but his eyes never left her. She did not flinch. She stood calm, her silver hair flowing lightly as if touched by a breeze no one else could feel. Her gaze was fixed on him, steady and unshaken, while the world around them seemed ready to fall apart. The commander rushed forward, face hard and furious. "Restrain her!" he shouted. "She brought them here." A group of soldiers moved cautiously toward her, rifles raised. But before they could reach her, the air shimmered. A faint glow surrounded her body like a thin veil of light. The moment they stepped close, their weapons cracked and burst into sparks. Some dropped their rifles with cries of pain as the metal burned hot in their hands. The commander cursed, reaching for his sidearm, but the soldier lifted his arm. "Stop," he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "You will not win against her." The alien woman's eyes softened for a moment, as if in gratitude, before turning cold again. She raised her hand, palm outward. Above them, the sky answered. The fleet that had descended shifted into formation. Dozens of ships hovered silently, their engines glowing, their weapons hidden but ready. It was not an attack posture. It was obedience. They were waiting for her command. Whispers spread through the base like wildfire. "She controls them." "Is she their leader?" "What is she?" The soldier's throat tightened. He looked at her again, really looked. She was not just grown. She was transformed. Power radiated from her in ways he could not explain. Her presence bent the air, bent the fear of everyone around her. She was no ordinary alien. She was something chosen, something far beyond human understanding. "What have you become?" he asked, his voice low, his chest heavy. She stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. "What I was always meant to be," she said. "The voice of my people, the heart of my kind. And you, the one who gave me a promise, the one who tied yourself to me across time." He shook his head almost in disbelief. "That was a child's request, a joke. I never meant—" "You do not understand," she cut in, her voice sharp but not unkind. "Among my people, words are sacred. Promises are threads that shape destiny. You spoke, and I believed. That belief grew with me. It gave me strength when I was weak. It gave me direction when I was lost. It made me what I am now." She spread her arms, and the glow around her brightened. The soldier felt a pulse in the air, as if the ground itself recognized her. The fleet above responded again, shifting silently as though her will alone moved them. The humans around them backed away, fear etched deep into their faces. The commander shouted orders, but no one listened. They had seen enough. The soldier's hands trembled. He wanted to deny it, to call it madness, but he could not. He could see the truth. She was no longer the small girl he once knew. She was a force, a leader, a weapon, and perhaps something even greater. "You came here for me," he whispered. "Yes," she said, her eyes softening again. "For you, and for what we must do together." Her words unsettled him more than her power. "Together?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "A storm is coming, a darkness beyond either of our worlds. My people see it, but they cannot face it alone. Your people fear it, though they do not yet know its name. Only united can we survive, and only through you, through our bond, can that unity exist." The soldier stepped back, shaking his head. "I am just one man. I am not a leader. I am not a bridge between worlds." Her lips curved faintly. "You are more than you think. You gave me a promise. That promise made me who I am, and now it will make you what you must be." His chest grew tight, his mind spinning. The promise he once made so carelessly had now grown into something vast, something impossible, and she stood before him demanding not just love or companionship, but alliance, destiny, and perhaps salvation. The commander finally pushed forward, anger burning in his eyes. "This is manipulation," he shouted. "She is using you. We cannot trust her kind." She turned her head toward him, her gaze cold as steel. "You cannot stop what has already begun," she said. Her voice was calm, but the metal floor beneath her feet cracked with a sound like thunder. The commander froze, his face pale. The soldier looked at her again, his heart torn between fear and memory. She was no longer the child he remembered, but in her eyes he still saw the same unwavering trust, the same innocence that once asked him for a promise. Her hand reached out toward him. "Choose," she said softly. "Stand with me or stand in the ruins when the storm arrives." The alarms above shifted. The radar screen screamed louder. Another fleet was entering the system, but this one was different. Its signal was dark, cold, and hostile. The soldier's breath caught in his chest. She looked at him, calm and certain. "They are here," she whispered. "The ones I warned of. The ones only we can fight together." The dilemma, the base was no longer the same. Soldiers stood at the edges of the platform, weapons lowered, fear written on their faces. Above them, the skies were filled with two fleets, her ships that waited silently for her command, and the dark swarm that had just entered the system. The air was heavy, pressing down on every heart. The human soldier stood between two worlds. His commanders demanded action. His people demanded loyalty, and she, the alien woman who once had been a child at his side, demanded a promise fulfilled. He felt the weight of her eyes on him. She did not blink. She did not waver. The commander's voice thundered again. She is dangerous. She controls fleets with her will. If you side with her, you betray your own kind. The soldier clenched his fists. He wanted to answer, but his voice failed him. He turned and looked at her. She stood calm, a glow still surrounding her like a second skin. Her expression was steady, but her eyes carried something more, something that reached beyond power. He saw the same innocence from years ago, the same trust. She spoke softly, so only he could hear. You think this is only about me, but it is bigger. The enemy coming will not stop with my people. They will come for yours too. Alone, both of us will fall. Together, we might survive. Her words cut through him like a blade. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to trust her. But doubt gnawed at him. Could he risk his people's safety on her word? Or worse, on his own careless promise made long ago? The commander stepped closer, fury in his voice. You cannot be blind, soldier. She has twisted your memory. She is using you. If you give her your hand, you give her the whole galaxy. The soldier finally spoke, his voice low but strong. And if I refuse? If I turn my back? What then, Commander? Will your ships hold against what is coming? The commander faltered, his mouth opening but no words escaping. He looked up at the dark swarm growing larger in the sky. Even he could not lie about what was clear. The alien woman reached out, her hand hovering in the air between them. Do not decide for them, she said. Decide for yourself. Do you believe me? Do you trust me? The soldier stared at her hand. He remembered her as a small child, asking him for a promise by the firelight. He remembered laughing, never thinking those words would echo back through years. And now here she was, waiting for the answer that would decide everything. He shook his head, stepping back. This is too much. I'm only one man, her voice grew softer. So was I once. One small child. But your words carried me through the darkness. If you gave me strength, why can you not give it to yourself now? Her eyes glistened as if something deep inside her still carried the child he had known. She had grown into a leader, a weapon, a force of destiny. But beneath it, she was still the girl who believed. The soldier's chest ached. Around him, his men watched in silence. Some feared her, some were drawn to her, but all of them waited for him. He closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of Earth, of the faces of his people, of the endless war that had hardened him. He thought of her village, of silver moons, of laughter that had once felt pure, and he realized his choice was not about war or peace. It was about belief. The alarms above screamed louder. The enemy fleet was descending fast. The voice of the control tower echoed, impact in 10 minutes. Prepare for combat! The commander barked orders again, calling soldiers to battle stations. The fleet prepared weapons. The human soldier opened his eyes and looked at her once more. Her hand was still there, waiting. Her voice was calm, steady. Choose, he did not take her hand. Not yet, but he did not walk away either. Instead, he spoke quietly, words heavy with fear and truth. If I stand with you, my people may call me traitor. If I refuse, I may condemn them all. Either way, the galaxy will never forgive me. Her answer was soft, but carried the weight of the stars. Then let history decide. But right now, the choice is only yours. The soldier looked at her, torn between the world he had sworn to protect and the bond he never thought would matter. His heart pounded as the sky burned with the approach of the enemy. The dilemma tightened like a chain around his soul, and he knew that whatever he chose next would not just decide his fate, but the fate of two civilizations. The skies burned red as the enemy fleet pushed closer. Their ships were dark, jagged, and alive with hostile energy. They blotted out the stars, forming a wall of shadow above the human base. Every alarm screamed across the facility. Every soldier braced for battle, but all eyes kept drifting back to one place. The soldier and the alien woman standing together at the center of the platform. The commander barked orders, desperate to prepare for the coming assault. All guns online. Prepare for impact! His voice cracked, but he pushed harder. Soldier, stand down. Step away from her. The soldier did not move. His eyes were fixed on the alien woman. Her hand was still held out toward him, steady, patient. Her voice, calm in the storm. was the only thing that cut through the chaos. The moment has come. You cannot run from it now, choose. The soldier's heart pounded in his chest. Around him, fear spread like fire. His people wanted certainty, protection, leadership. But he knew none of them could stand against what was above. He looked at her again. She was radiant in the glow of the base lights, her silver hair catching every flicker, her lavender skin shining faintly as if carrying the light of another world. Her eyes were unshaken, filled with certainty and belief. He remembered the child she had once been, her small hands clutching his, her innocent voice asking him to marry her when she grew up. He remembered laughing, not knowing those words would matter, and he remembered the way she had looked at him, as though his promise was the only truth she needed. That same look was in her eyes now, but stronger, sharper, fueled by years of waiting and power beyond imagination. The commander screamed again, his voice breaking. "Soldier, don't do this! You'll damn us all." The soldier turned his head slowly, his voice heavy but steady. "And what will save us if I don't?" The commander froze. He had no answer. The enemy fleet loomed larger with every second. The soldier turned back to her. His throat was dry, but his voice was clear. "If I take your hand, I bind my people to yours. I tie our fates together. There is no going back." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "That is true. But it was always true. The moment you spoke the promise, it was written. You are only choosing to see it now." The silence stretched. The soldier felt the weight of every watching eye, every whisper of doubt, every memory of war. He breathed in once, slow and deep, and then he lifted his hand. The crowd gasped as he reached forward. His palm met hers. The glow around her body surged brighter, wrapping around them both. The soldier felt a rush of warmth, not burning, but overwhelming, as though the energy of stars flowed into his veins. His knees almost buckled, but her grip held him steady. Her voice filled his mind, no longer only sound, but presence. "You are not alone. We stand together now." Above them, her fleet roared to life. Engines flared, weapons locked, and the dark swarm that descended from the void met resistance it had never faced before. The commander stumbled back, eyes wide with disbelief. The soldiers around the platform stared in shock. The man they thought was only one soldier now stood as something more, a bridge between two civilizations, a symbol alive before their eyes. The alien woman stepped closer, her hand still holding his. Her voice carried across the platform. "He has chosen, and now so will we." Her fleet shifted in perfect harmony, moving to shield the base. The enemy swarm fired, red energy tearing across the sky. But the first strike met the barrier of her ships, and the ground trembled as light and fire collided. The soldier felt her power through the bond. He saw flashes of stars, ancient memories, visions of battles fought long before humans even knew the galaxy existed. He understood then. She was not just his childhood friend, not just a woman who had remembered a promise. She was a force chosen and bound by something far larger than either of them. And now, by holding her hand, he was part of that force. The first wave of enemy ships broke against her fleet. Explosions lit the night, fire raining down but never touching the base. The humans cheered, some in disbelief, others in relief. The commander stood silent, his face pale, no longer able to deny what he saw. The soldier turned his eyes to her once more. She looked at him, her expression calm but filled with something deeper, pride, trust, and something that might one day become love. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. He nodded slowly, his grip firm in hers. "Then we face it together." Above them, the war for the galaxy had begun. But on that night, in the shadow of two fleets and a promise finally kept, a legend was born. A joke spoken by a human long ago had grown into a vow that might save them all, or end everything they knew.